Logan Lynch here with the Midnight Movie Distillery Podcast. Well, one of the trio of Midnight Movie Distillery Podcast. We had some technical difficulties, so I'm recording my review for Scream 6 through this format. It's going to be a much shorter format than what you're used to. One downside to this is you won't have the lovely banter that we have, the back and forth of, either making fun of Warwick or Lon making fun of me or any of that good stuff. But we wanted to at least get you guys the reviews of the Scream 6 movie. And my opinion on the movie, I don't have my barrels with me, but I would give it a 3.5 out of 5, maybe even a 3.75. It was a much better movie than I originally anticipated. Scream 5 was not one of my favorites, but I did like the movie, and I would recommend seeing it. Now, obviously, we're going to have spoilers that I'm going to be talking about here, so if you don't want to go any further, I would recommend go and see the movie. Okay, done. Now, so that was the good side of things. Recommend seeing it. The bad side, it's obviously the series becoming a little bit played out. Dermot Mulroney's character in this was a pretty big character, but there's a scene in the movie that I just immediately started speculating in my head that he was part of this. Now, granted, obviously, if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the scene when he finds his daughter dead upstairs, and he comes downstairs crying. It just did not seem believable. And Dermot's a very good actor, but there was something about it that just rubbed me the wrong way. And so I immediately thought he was involved in it in some way, shape, or form. That was one of my downsides. Now, another plus, well, kind of good and bad it. The plus to it was the movie itself was that a lot of the kills were gruesome. They did a lot of vicious stabbings. They showed a lot of it, which I'm not used to seeing in movies lately. It's been kind of like, to make those PG-13s. They tend to not show and leave things out, or you only hear stuff. So they went for it. So I'll give them that as a positive. The really I guess ugly side of things for me right now with this series is that they've got to go beyond somebody being related. That needs to be the killer. It's just getting to the point now where, you could have copycats. You could have, it doesn't need to be the brother, the cousin, the sister, the aunt of somebody that was murdered. And now that Sydney is technically out of the picture, you don't need to have that. You can just have this person be vicious and ruthless. You could almost even turn it into, like, well, if you wanted, you could say it was like a precursor to Seven. Just something. Change it into something other than what the series has as their baseline of, okay, it's got to be someone related to that somebody that was killed that was playing Ghostface. Revenge is great and all, but it's getting played out. So that's the ugly side of it, I guess. But like I said before, it was still, as a standalone movie, I would recommend seeing it. So I want to make this brief. I'm going to leave it at that. Everybody have a good night. Take care.
Welcome everyone to another strange episode of Midnight Movie Distillery. I'm one of your hosts, Warwick Price, and as if you're watching these in order and you watch Knock at the Cabin first, I won't go into the long diatribe of why we're doing this weird format. Suffice to say, we had technical difficulties, and so in order for you to watch Finishing the Bottle, it kind of makes sense to hear our individual reviews of Scream 6 and Knock at the Cabin. Knock at the Cabin I already just did. Hopefully you watched that first. So Scream 6. I liked it. I liked it. I think I gave it I think I gave it a barrel of, I think I did 3.1 for my barrel rating. I definitely liked it more. It's another one of these where it's like, 1 and 2 clearly the best in the franchise. 3 was okay. 4 didn't really like at all. 5 I thought was actually a lot better than 4. This is definitely a lot better than 5. I like the fact that they finally added Woodsboro. Obviously not having Sydney in there is a little bit weird. And there's obviously lots of things you can read online as to why she didn't want to be in it. I totally get her decision. Um, it was cool. I'm a, as I'm sure everyone is at this point because of Wednesday, big Jenna Ortega fan. I thought she did great. There were some kind of like new things that they did in this. I like the kind of double take on who the killer was at the very beginning, and who it kind of evolved into. Obviously, I'm going to give spoilers, so hopefully you've already watched a movie. If not, I guess stop and go watch it and come back. So there are definitely some. I think one of the things that's interesting in movies is there's just one of these. There's something that happens a lot in movies, especially movies that are supposed to be kind of like a mass audience type movie, which is that they don't do a lot of like, oh, I didn't see that coming kind of thing. It's like there's characters that get introduced, important characters that are introduced, that you realize, okay, well, that's such a throwaway character unless they have some kind of later use in the movie, and you definitely get a lot of that with this. I liked Dermot Mulroney, his character. There's definitely some kind of, he has that kind of crazy overacting section kind of like in the middle, and I don't know whether that's done purposely to kind of transition from the yes, I'm this normal detective and on your side to starting to see some of those kind of cracks on no, I'm not really on your side. The best thing about the Scream franchise in general, and they really do a great job here. Again, 1 and 2, I think, obviously started the whole thing, so the best job is done there. But where they just poke fun at themselves, but done in a relatively straight way. The whole rules of engagement and the whole like, oh, we've become a franchise now and things like that. It's such this kind of double-edged sword of, they're basically telling you what's happening, and you'd think that would make the movie boring, but it really isn't. I said 6 definitely is better than 3, 4, and 5. But it was good. A little bit more gore than I think we've seen in previous ones. I like seeing the kind of flashbacks to the previous killers, just because of the whole premise of collecting all of the old Scream artifacts. That was really cool, and the Billy Loomis flashbacks were interesting. I'm glad they got kind of Skeeter in there. Anyway, again, suddenly becoming a longer review. So really enjoyed it. Definitely would say it's a go and see the movie, kind of as I said in the last kind of one-off review. We actually saw this in the movie theater. Now, for those who kind of following along, we saw it in the movie theater because we got free tickets because we did a giveaway at the store a few weeks ago. But I probably would have been perfectly fine paying to see this in the theater. I thought it was definitely enjoyable. Definitely got my money's worth out of it, and it was fun. I guess to close out, so one of the things that they've done, obviously, by getting them out of Woodsboro, is you've kind of closed off that necessity that all this serial killing has to happen at Woodsboro. I mean, Woodsboro is a fairly small town. It just seems like improbable that you really would have that many serial killers in Woodsboro. And I also think that by starting to, maybe not intentionally, but by starting to kind of drop off some of the main characters, i.e. Sydney not being there, you really do start making the movie franchise way more about Ghostface and what Ghostface does, as opposed to any kind of character that has been with the franchise for a long time. So I think that ultimately is pretty good for the franchise. as long as they keep with good stories. Because I think sometimes, and I think you saw it a little bit in 4 and kind of getting a little bit into 5, where it's like the whole thing of oh my god, what's her name? I'm gonna cheat and look at the Sam going to Woodsboro with a boyfriend who ultimately turns out to be the killer. That just seems, that didn't need to happen, right? It's like he could have been the killer where they were before. It's I think when you're forced to try and build stories around Woodsboro and around the old characters that we've seen in previous movies, it's a little bit limiting to what you can do. And so I'm intrigued to see how the franchise moves forward. Literally today, actually, I saw something that's my brain. I'll skip that part. Hopefully I can just cut it out. We'll just leave it in because we don't do editing. Anyway, tip of my tongue. Can you see it? All right there. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this. It went on a little bit longer than I intended, as is my want. And watch the Finishing the Bottle episode, because a lot of these kind of like disjointed things that I talked about in here and in the Knock on the Cabin Door episode kind of come together in the Finishing the Bottle episode. So hopefully this will be the last of the technical issues that we have, although I actually kind of like this little mini format. So leave messages in the comments on whether you enjoyed these or whether you thought it was stupid. And as always, thank you for listening, watching. If you have any ideas of what you want us to review in the future, let us know in the comments. Thanks a lot. Bye.
All right, Lon Black with you here, trailing up the new format, temporary format, as always. So we're going to review Scream 6, and I need something to review this with. Let's see. Okay, I got a glass. I hope y'all are into scotch. You know what? I'm going to go to the pinnacle. I'm going to go right to the top. Enough of this fucking around stuff. Lagavulin 16 year. Either you love it or you hate it, and if you hate it, we can't be friends. This is probably, to me, the top of the scotch pyramid. I love Glenmorangie. I don't know if you can see those over there. Glenmorangie is a good staple. I do like scotch absolutely as much, if not more, than I like bourbon. So I'll just put that there. Okay. Scream 6. What can we say about Scream 6? You've heard everybody else's reviews on Scream 6. So I won't necessarily try to bore you with details. I don't know if they gave details or not. We're filming these individually, obviously. So let's just talk about it. When Scream first came out, I loved the first movie. I was not a fan of the slasher. Really what that means is I loved Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees. They all had a certain style about them. And I thought, well, this is just some guy in a mask you can buy from any drugstore or Spirit Halloween, and it's bland because anybody can get it. But after a while, I realized that was the point. I think this is one of those characters or slashers or villains or whatever you want to call them that transcends the rest of the genre. And I don't want to give it over praise here. I'm not trying to say that it transcends the genre, so this is the best killer ever. I'm trying to say that this is one of those making fun of yourself and the genre kind of movie and still giving you a good scary movie. That's Scream 1 and 2. Now we get to Scream 6. And I don't know if anybody's seen 3 or 4. They've dropped off for me. I thought 3 was getting kind of lame. 4, I was kind of tired of the joke. 5, it had a little more interest for me. I don't think it was as good as 1 or 2, but it was getting back up there. And then 6 comes along. I like where they took it. I did like the movie overall. I think I'm going to give it I didn't review it yet. I guess I should give you a number here. Um, I'm going to say it's going to be a 3.25. Was it the best? And I'm sorry for saying all the time, but I'm used to some banter going back and forth and somebody criticizing me, so I gotta, or me criticizing them, which is way more fun. But this is one of those movies that I think, because it makes fun of itself and because it's taking it lightly and yet still giving you good scares like they did in the original kind of movies, I think that was fantastic. They upped the gore tremendously. The kills in this are way better than anything else. I think that was one of the problems I had with the original 1, 2, 3, and 4, is that literally that's how Ghostface killed you. He stabbed you and then wiped off the knife. And he stabbed you again and then wiped off the knife. Nothing wrong with that. That was his thing, right? He was a knife killer. He didn't have to do it the way Jason Voorhees did it. And Jason Voorhees had some spectacular kills. But this had a little bit more into the spectacular realm. There were way more unique kills, more stylish kills, a lot more gore, a lot more blood. And I'm a fan of that. Not to sound twisted, but, I know you're saying the same thing. I know you're thinking the same thing. The gore was great. I mean, it upped the movie. It became more of a shock. It's like, whoa, they've never killed somebody like that before. They were venturing in that way on 5, I think. But 6 was the first one that was basically just balls out killing. They brought in a good Saw, what do you call it? Temple, shrine, like they had in Saw, where it was basically you walk into the room and it's everything about Ghostface and its collector. And that was, to me, a more commentary on everybody who was getting into the movies and the fandom that was built up around Scream. And that's fine. And that's good. It added a little bit of an interesting thing to it. I think their twist ending, the revealing the killer, was not as impactful. I think I knew who at least 2 of them were, or at least more specifically, 2 of them. I didn't see the daughter. I thought she was actually dead. They pulled a fast one on me on that one. But still, I knew who it was. I knew who it wasn't. And to me, that didn't spoil it. That didn't take away from it. Because when the big reveal happened, it was still kind of fun. When you're like, oh, yeah, look, I was right. Or, which would have been better, ooh, I didn't think that was going to happen. But when you do 6 of these movies, you kind of know who to look for. They always tell you, always look at the love interest. Okay, I looked at the love interest. Hey, guess what? It's the love interest. Oh, yeah, I know. And the dad, and we all kind of knew that was here, because how else do you get Dylan McDermott or Dermot McRooney, whichever is, I don't know which one he is, but he's one of those 2. To get him in there, they put a star in there. It's going to be him. So aside from that, it still was a good movie. And I don't want to make it sound like it was downplaying it just because I guessed the ending or anything like that, or because they had the stars or whatever. I just think the acting was really good. It had some great cast. It had some great surprise moments. It had some great kills. I think this I don't want to say it brought the Scream trilogy or the Scream franchise back to life. But I think it's better. I think 5 was, well, I don't know, 4 might have been better than 5, but I think 4 and 5 and 6 were working their way back up. Are they going to keep coming out with 7 and 8? Probably. I mean, how many did Jason have? Friday the 13th, there were probably about 12 or 13 of those. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're trying to do their own thing with the franchise, and their thing is making fun of their own stuff. I'm cool with that. It was a good movie. It was entertaining. You got to go watch it. It's one of the few that has that star quality and the budget to go into the horror movie to make it what it is. And I appreciated it. I think it worked out fine. Was it a heavy thinker? No. Did it need to be? No. So I say, go watch it if you haven't already. Okay, well, thanks for joining us. Appreciate the time. Let us know what you think about doing it in this format. I mentioned that in the last video too. Hopefully you've seen both because they're pretty quick compared to some of our other videos. We're just trying to work these reviews in because we lost the first ones. You already know this. And we're trying to get at least our views on these two movies before we do the finishing bottle. And we're doing a finishing the bottle comparing those two movies. We're going to do M. Night Shyamalan's Knock at the Cabin versus the franchise stardom of Scream. So definitely keep an eye out for that one. We will have more bourbon at that one. We'll be finishing that bottle. Oh, I didn't get to taste a sip until now. I poured myself at the beginning. I didn't even... Give me a moment. Okay, that was way better than the movie. Right down below, let us know what you think. Please like, please subscribe. Even if those other, what's their names? Warwick, and I don't know, the Logan or something. They probably asked you the same thing. So if you like them better, then listen to them and like and subscribe because that would really help us out. Until then, next time, we will see you in the next episode. Hopefully back to the original format, back to the way you like it. Back to us bantering and fighting and bickering and arguing because really we enjoy that, hopefully as much as you enjoy watching it. Thanks for your time and cheers.